Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, what you all just saw were my four newest raised beds, recently assembled by my sweet husband. Those four by 8 foot raised Birdies raised beds represent 154 square foot of gardening space. So if you follow the square foot gardening method, which I don't really, but I could if I wanted to, that represents 154 plants that I could squeeze into those four beds. Those of you that follow my channel know how much I love gardening in raised beds. If you haven't tried raised bed gardening before, do a quick Google search and you'll get a gigantic list of why it's an amazing way to grow cut flowers, veggies, and herbs. And it has been one of the best decisions I ever made as a gardener is to, instead of gardening in the ground, which I have awful native soil, clay, sticky, hard to work in, but oh my gosh, my plants do so great in raised beds. There are all kinds of ways to create raised beds, but today I'm just bringing you along to show what I do in my garden and to really highlight for you the Birdies raised beds. That is what I'm showing you about today. So you might be wondering why Birdies raised beds. Well, I have been using products from Epic Gardening for many, many years, and I just love their stuff. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video. The raised beds that I'm going to show you today and that my husband put together for me, we paid for. Nobody gave us those. Nobody gave us, things to use to promote. These are just products that we love and have proven to be amazing for our garden. However, I am an Epic Gardening affiliate, and that simply means that I can offer my viewers additional discounts on any of their products. So now is the time, if you are considering wanting to install raised beds or retrofit like we have, getting rid of our old crumbly wooden beds and transitioning into these metal beds, now is the time. I want to tell you about a great President's sale that's going on right now on the Epic Gardening website. I will make sure I put a link, my link in the description below. If you click on that link, you can go to their website and look at all their products. And right now through, I think, all the way through next Thursday, February the 19th, they are running a 25% site-wide sale. And if you use my link, you can add on an additional 5%. So on top of that 25%. So if you are just wondering about raised beds and you think you want to dip your toe in the water, this is the time to get a really great sale. They are an investment, but I'm going to have these raised beds for many, many years to come. So if you all have been following along with my videos, you know that just last year we started renovating our raised bed garden. We started retrofitting our original 9 wooden boxes that my husband built and pulling those out and installing the Birdies raised beds. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you all into the garden and show you the 4 that he installed last year that have been outstanding. And then we'll talk about where my 4 new ones that you're going to get to see Alan assembling, where are those 4 new Birdies raised beds going to go? So I thought it might be helpful for us to get out in the raised bed garden so you can kind of see the lay of the land, as they say. So behind me, you can see the 4 29-inch Birdies raised beds that we installed last spring, and they were incredible. My veggies, herbs, and cut flowers did so well in them. I just can't say enough good things about it. So you can imagine how excited I am to replace this one, and this one with the 4 by 8 foot beds that my husband just assembled. You might be wondering why tall and why short beds. Well, if you think about vegetable crops and flower crops, the things that I grow that get really tall, like tomatoes, and many of my cut flowers can get up to 6 foot tall, including my dahlias. I need to place those kinds of plants in lower raised beds. If I were to place my dahlia plants over here, or some of my tomato plants, I mean, imagine I'm already 2.5 feet off the ground, and another 5 or 6 feet, I'd be needing a step ladder to do the harvesting. And nobody needs to see this gal getting on a step ladder to harvest dahlias or tomatoes. Truth be told, probably the most difficult, time-consuming part of this retrofitting project will be pulling out the wooden boards and actually having these Birdies beds be leveled into the space. This garden, my property here is on a slope down to our pond, and it's not level. If you are lucky enough to start a brand new raised bed space in your garden and you can find a perfectly flat spot, more power to you. So whenever you renovate, whether you are remodeling a home or remodeling a garden, it is much more time and effort than starting from scratch, starting with a blank slate. But you know what? For us, it is worth doing. Now that you've had a chance to see the raised bed garden and see where those 4x8 Birdies raised beds are going to go, I'm going to switch gears, and I want to share with you all a video that I took yesterday of Alan assembling those 4 raised beds so that you get a sense of what's involved in that process. So I'll talk you through what you're watching, and yeah, I think that would be interesting for you all to see how easy it is actually to put them together. All right, so here he starts doing the unboxing and he's pulling out all of those side panels. And with this particular, the large 5-in-1 15-inch garden bed, there are 12 of these side panels. So that's where he started. So let me remind you all that, first of all, my husband has already built 7 of these beds. He built the 4 last year, our 29 inchers, so he has a lot of experience putting these together. And then he had already assembled 3 of these that are going to be the big 4x8s. So this is his 8th and final Birdies raised bed to assemble, although I did tease him and say, let's never call anything the final one. So assembly is really straightforward and quite organized when you look at the inserts. It just is really, really easy to understand. But I will say, besides his amazing experience, my husband also has a background in home remodeling and carpentry. He just has so much experience in building things. And for him, I think we timed it on this 8th bed. It took him a total of 30 minutes by himself to put this bed together. But if you are brand new to this, I would say you want to allow yourself, I think he said anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes to put the bed together. If you are doing it alone, definitely it's going to take you a lot more time. I would strongly recommend, unless you have his type of background in carpentry or really you're a big DIYer, I think that if it were me, I would definitely do this with a second person. Particularly these larger beds, you know, they're a little unwieldy. They're very lightweight. It's not like they're heavy and you're, you know, having to struggle through that. But yeah. They're a lot. There are a lot of pieces, and getting things to line up properly is really key here. So yeah, let's follow along, and I'll highlight some tips and tricks that he has gained over his experience of already having done this 7 times. He's learned some great tips that I'll share with you that he wants you to know about to make it easier on you, especially when it comes to lining things up.
right, so he's getting this end piece pieced together, and what I want you to notice, everybody, is one of his tricks. Do you see how he's taking a couple of screwdrivers that he has and he's placing it in the second and fourth hole from the top? That holds those two adjoining panels together, and when you're working by yourself, this gives you so much more stability. Otherwise, the first time we built these, I would help by holding the panels as he was attaching the bolts. So take his tip. If you're going to try to do this by yourself, put in a couple screwdrivers to hold it steady for you. Okay, things are going to speed up. He's worked his way around to one of the long sides, and you can see he again is doing the same method just over and over and over again. The screws to hold the two panels together are in the second and fourth spot, and he is then placing the nuts and bolts in the top number 1, number 3, and number 5 position. So you've got to put it through the front side, and then you've got to, of course, screw the nut on the back side, hold it steady, and then get your screwdriver, in his case, his screw gun, and give it a little zip and get them tightened up that way. So this is his method that he has sort of fine-tuned over lots of experience. And then what you're seeing him do here is these upright brackets. And when the beds are this big, it's helpful to place a couple of these brackets in 2 different spots down the length of the bed. And this is all really well described in the assembly instructions. And so these are the brace pieces that are going to actually go on here, and you'll see later in the video where he'll attach, I think in this 4-foot wide bed, he's got 4 braces that will reach from one long side to the other long side to give it stability across the long sides of the bed. So here he goes again, and he'll be placing in this position as well the brackets and then those long braces. So I think from here on out, we're going to probably speed up the video as he works his way around, and then I'll make sure that I point out a few other of his tips and tricks to help any of you who are considering purchasing any of these Birdies raised beds. So in this portion of the video, you're going to see Alan attach the braces across, connecting to those brackets he installed earlier with the screws. This is really important for these big beds. You want to provide some stability from one side to the other, particularly when you fill these with soil and compost and all the good things. You don't want them to start bowing out from the weight of the soil that is in the center. So this gives you just some extra assurance to keep everything nice and steady.
So I have popped back inside my greenhouse because it's pretty chilly out. In fact, I think it's about 35 degrees and my fingers were getting cold. So I wanted to pop in here just to share with you a little bit more information. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for this video. Just wanted to show you all, this is the insert you get with your Birdies raised beds. Truly, assembly could not be easier and more straightforward. You know, like almost everything we buy anymore, if you need to go online to their website, they can give you even more instructions. But what is so cool about their raised beds is that one kit, in this case, the 4x8 that we made, you can actually end up using the 12 pieces that come in this kit, and you can configure it a bunch of different ways. So you have lots of options to change the width and the length and everything that you need. I mean, it is amazing. For this particular kit, you're going to get 60 nuts and bolts. Yes, 60, but you want your Birdies raised beds to last. It'd be really secure. You're going to get 12 panels in total. You're going to get some braces, which you saw in the video when Alan was assembling them, and you're going to get the safety edge strip, which we have not yet installed. We'll do that once we get them positioned in the garden. So you may be wondering why I switched from wood raised beds to metal in the first place. Well, here's really why. First of all, wood, no matter how great the wood is, it will eventually break down, even cedar wood. You know, this high quality coated metal beds, these will last for a long, long, long time. In fact, at this stage of my gardening career, I'm imagining that these metal raised beds will be the last raised beds I'll ever need to buy. And a couple of other reasons why I chose Birdies raised beds is because they are so customizable. I showed you that little chart where if you buy this particular kit, you can end up with, like, I don't know, 5 different configurations, so you can customize it for your particular garden. And lastly, of course, assembly really is easy and very straightforward. If you've been dreaming about starting a brand new garden, or you want to level up the space that you currently have by doing sort of, an upgrade, shall we say, this is the time. I mean, here we are just on the verge of a new gardening season, especially in my area of the country. And so if you have been dreaming about doing something like this and you want to dip your toe in the raised bed gardening arena, give it a go. If you want to think about purchasing a kit like this, now is the time. I already mentioned the great sale that they have. I mean, my goodness, 25% off plus another 5% off if you use my coupon, which is in the link below. Yeah, I just say go for it. You know, go for it. You are going to love raising vegetables, herbs, and cut flowers in a raised bed. If you have enjoyed today's video, I would love to invite you all to like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to bring gardening adventures to viewers just like you. And as always, you know I'm going to wish you happy gardening.